Welcome to Storm and Chocolate. I'm Stormin' Norman. Today's song is number 32, Tonight is What It Means to Be Young, from the movie soundtrack Streets of Fire. The film Streets of Fire was directed by Walter Hill, whose immediately previous work was the Nick Nolte Eddie Murphy buddy flick 48 Hours. His filmography has 5 writing credits from 72 to 75 before his first directing credit, 1975's Hard Time, also known as The Street Fighter, starring Charles Bronson and James Colburn. He had been approached by the head of production at American International Pictures to direct from his script, as by then he was highly regarded in that department. It ended up being successful. Rotten Tomatoes rates it as 94% fresh among 16 critics, and as of 15 years ago, Hill was still receiving checks from it. His next effort, 1978's The Driver, was also from his script. This is considered one of his best works and is often used as the entry into his retrospectives. It has influenced Tarantino's career in both Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, and Quentin has referred to it as one of the coolest movies of all time. It was also influential in 2011's Drive and 2017's Baby Driver. Following this, Hill had his first crack at being a producer on 1979's Alien. While not written from his script, it was mainly Dan O'Bannon's script. He did perform some uncredited script work. The same was true of the follow-up Aliens from 1986, but this time being executive producer. Hill went on to be involved in all of the Alien franchise flicks, including the 2 Alien vs. Predators, up through Alien Romulus from last year. At the same time as Alien, he was also working on the cult classic The Warriors. This movie details the attempted escape of a New York City gang accused of murdering a rival gang's boss who was attempting to bring all the gangs into a peaceful coexistence. The Warriors had to travel the 30 miles from the meeting location back to their home base and survive. It is gritty and violent and ridiculous, with some stilted dialogue and acting, exactly the formula to make a cult classic. Of note, this movie was the impetus for the Joe Walsh single In the City, which was played over the closing credits. This was later re-recorded with the rest of the Eagles and included on the album The Long Run. 3 years later, we get 48 Hours, story by and directed by Walter Hill. Besides being a great flick, it has 2 notable honors. First, it was Eddie Murphy's screen debut, a year before Trading Places and 2 years before Beverly Hills Cop. And second, it is regarded as the first buddy cop movie, predating others like Lethal Weapon, Bad Boys, and Rush Hour. Nick Nolte's Cop is the perfect foil to Murphy's hot and cold Convict. Overall, it grossed $78 million in US and Canada box offices, making it the 7th highest grosser of 1982. Its sequel earned twice that when including worldwide sales. At this point, we have a talented and successful writer, director, and producer coming off a career high. So then he makes Streets of Fire. But when I say that, it sounds like it was a dud. I didn't say that to imply it was a dud, but I wanted to set you up thinking that it might be. In other words, the film was considered a disappointment, grossing $8 million in North America on a $14 million budget. I initially saw it because the trailer looked intriguing, and it was Walter Hill's next movie.
I'll be waiting.
You are about to enter a world unlike any you've ever seen before, where rock and roll is king. The only law is a loaded gun. Where the beautiful,
Stay and see the show, it's really good.
the brutal,
I want Tom Cody.
and the brave all meet
From now on, it's for real.
in Streets of Fire.
You're lying in your bed and on a Saturday night, you're standing buckets and it's not even hard. But your brain has got the message and it's sending it out to every nerve and every muscle you got.
It was full of interesting stars: Michael Paré, Diane Lane, Rick Moranis, Willem Dafoe, Ed Begley Jr., Deborah Van Valkenburg, and Bill Paxton. Rick was from SCTV and had done Strange Brew the year before and had a supporting role in Ghostbusters, which released a week after Streets of Fire. Diane Van Valkenburg was known through her TV sitcom Too Close for Comfort, which I never watched. Ed Begley Jr. was in the highly regarded medical drama St. Elsewhere, which had tons of other talented actors like Denzel Washington and Mark Harmon. But I can't say I had seen any of the other actors in anything before Streets. In many ways, their careers were ahead of them. But the music and the style and the direction were great, and this is what makes me love this movie. The title comes from a Springsteen song the producers were trying to get, and they almost had it until the boss learned that they were going to have other artists re-record it. Part of the opening credits describe this tale as a rock and roll fantasy, which is occurring in another place and another time. Unlike The Warriors, then, it doesn't take place in New York City or Chicago, but some unnamed sprawling metropolis with areas called the Richmond or some other word I can't really remember, both of which have Bay Area connotations, which is where 48 Hours was set. So instead of Springsteen's song opening the movie, they hired Jim Steinman of Meat Loaf fame at the time to compose the opening and ending songs. Today's song, Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young, is the closing song. The opening song, Nowhere Fast, and the Stevie Nicks penned Sorcerer are also on this playlist. Finally, the top 10 hit for Dan Hartman, I Can Dream About You, also came out of this movie and is performed just before the ending song. I didn't know about Jim Steinman's involvement, but I was aware of his technique. I bought Meat Loaf's Bat Out of Hell a couple of weeks after I returned from Germany in late 1979, along with a dozen other recent albums like Journey's Evolution, Supertramp's Breakfast in America, and Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor. Bat had been out for 2 years by then, but I had not been exposed to it yet. Rocky Horror would remedy that. Anecdotally, when I heard Bonnie Tyler's Faster Than the Speed of Night and Total Eclipse of the Heart, and Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All, and the 2 songs from Streets of Fire, bells were going off in my head that there was something familiar about them. And doing more digging, I uncovered the facts. Loosely, because I don't want to spoil the movie by providing too much detail, involves Ellen Aim, played by Diane Lane, who gets talked into performing a benefit concert in her hometown, the Richmond, which is not the nicest place, but not the worst. At the end of the opening song, a biker gang steals Ellen Aim and takes her back to their domain in the Battery, which may be the worst place. This is so their leader can play boyfriend-girlfriend with her for a few days. Tom Cody, an old flame of Ellen's, gets called back by his sister to rescue Ellen. Most of the story then is Cody and his troop rescuing Ellen and then escaping the bikers on their way back to the Richmond. As soon as Ellen gets dropped off, we set the stage for the denouement, which I'm not going to spoil. But on the way back, Cody's troop picks up a hanger-on who insinuates herself with Ellen and company, plus another musical group struggling to make it, whose bus they steal. Anyway, this group plays their big song as the opening act for Ellen in her triumphant return concert, where she sings today's song. The main dynamic is the sexual tension between Ellen and Cody, since she left town for stardom and he went into the army to shoot guns. Ellen is now shacked up with her manager who is taking her places, but there's still that tension. In the end, he admits that he's not the kind of guy to carry her guitar around, but if she ever needs him again, ... This conversation goes on in the wings during the opening act, and as Ellen takes the stage, we see Cody exiting the theater by walking through the crowd, then opening the doors to the foyer such that he's silhouetted against the lighting and thus partially visible from the stage. The song has two main parts, the angel part and the boy part, and most of the song is just long choruses. First, Ellen sings about her angel dream.
I got a dream about an angel on the beach and the perfect waves are starting to come. His hair is flying out in ribbons of gold, and his touch, he's got the power to stun.
But this is a dream she can't make real, so she has to make some adjustments.
But I don't see any angels in the city. I don't hear any holy choir sing. And if I can't get an angel, I can still get a boy. And the boy will be the next best thing to an angel. A boy will be the next best thing.
So we enter the second part, where she makes this seemingly minor adjustment to her dream, but like the butterfly wings, big changes occur.
I got a dream about a boy and a castle, and he's dancing like a cat on the stairs. He's got the fire of a prince in his eyes and the thunder of a drum in his ears.
And to make it even more real, while an angel might not even notice her, a boy probably would.
I got a dream about a boy on a star looking down upon the rim of the world. He's there all alone and dreaming of someone like me. I'm not an angel, but at least I'm a girl.
And that's her dream, not her reality. And in her reality, she proposes a little carpe diem.
I got a dream when the darkness is over, we'll be lying in the rings of the sun. But it's only a dream and tonight is for real. You'll never know what it means, but you'll know how it feels. It's gonna be over, before you know it's begun. Oh, it's all we really got tonight. Stuff you couldn't hold on tonight. Before you know it, it's gone tonight. Tonight is what it means to be young. Tonight is what it means to be young.
And then the final attempt to tie her dreams to reality.
Let's go. Say a prayer in the darkness for the magic to come. No matter what it seems, tonight is what it means to be young.
And with the repetition of the part of the chorus where she sings, as Ellen sings the first line, she's staring off to the side slightly, and we know she's looking at Cody. We cut to him looking back at her, holding back the tears, and he turns and heads into the foyer. We cut back to Ellen, who reacts, knowing he's really gone again. And at this point, I can't really see the movie anymore through my tears. The first dozen or so times I watched this movie, I didn't really catch this sequence. I was busy jamming to another Steinman creation and loving it. But when I did watch, it was heart-wrenching. And now the problem is, since I know it's coming, the tears start earlier and earlier in the movie. I convinced Chocolate to watch the flick since it has 3 songs in the playlist, and the first one is in the second 20, and that time is now. It was important that he understand the context of the song so that this video makes sense. As Tom Cody walks out of the theater and into the street, he asked me something about the hot rod one member of the troupe is driving. I turned to him and said, "I'm sitting here bawling and you're asking about the car?" He had no clue what was going on, and I just laughed at the whole situation.
Actually, what I was pointing out in the movie was I could tell how they mixed the movie with the song because of how it was out of sync from the movie. The visuals were out of sync from the song. Not that they were out of sync, but how they were out of sync. And He had lost it. Car? What are you talking about? Car?
I don't know. That's what I remembered. You were asking something that was at the time. I don't really see it as being out of sync. I really liked the 3 songs from the movie, but I really love this song. I think if you can get through, let's say, 3 viewings of the flick and experience all of the songs in context, you could come to love them too. Well, that's it for Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young from the film soundtrack for Streets of Fire, performed by the ensemble Fire Inc., with lead singer Holly Sherwood. Next time, we'll observe some men at work opening up cargo. I'm sure it will be overkill. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Boom, boom, boom.
I don't recognize that song.
It actually sounds more like Stratosphere than the song I was actually trying to replicate. Stratosphere sounds like a lullaby. Like a lullaby you've never heard before.